What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're doing well today. Am I wearing the same shirt 2 days in a row? Have I recorded 2 videos in one day? Who knows? Only you can guess. But today, this isn't like a track review or anything like that. This is more like going to be a topic of discussion on like pro tracks and racing and MX bikes overall. So what you see here in front of you is a very, 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 very early build of the KTM test tracks that Bradley Clay is making for the game. They'll be on the shop at some point, but he dropped this in as like just to get feedback from to see how it goes. So I thought I'd test it out and kind of give my thoughts on it. Now, obviously, as you can see, these tracks are covered in ruts. And that's going to be kind of what we go over today. I want to see how it rides, how it flows. Do I think it should be added into aerial races as well? Should aerial tracks be rougher for the pros anyway? What I can see straight away is everything looks quite uniform, which I think would have to be changed for pro racing. I feel like there should be a little bit of inconsistency across the board. But what I do think it would do well, granted this is testing, so it'd be hard to tell straight away, is just having so many more line options in corners. I think that would be something that's really, really interesting. Then it also, I guess it makes the whoops a little bit harder as well. I mean, that looks quite difficult to get through. But yeah, I'm going to spin a few laps on each track, see how it rides, see how it feels, and just give my thoughts and opinions on if I think it should be in pro racing as well.
For all of you passionate gamers, you can now get 20% off all G Fuel products worldwide by using code LINS at checkout. And for any of you motorheads looking for some new drip or apparel, use code MXPR_LINS15 fxrracing.eu to get 15% off. All links and codes are in the description down below. Enjoy the video and drop a cheeky little like and subscribe.
This is also a nighttime skybox as well, which is quite cool. You don't get too many nighttime ones these days. So I believe the actual jumps and turns of this track have been made in Photoshop by Bradley. And then when it comes to the ruts and stuff, he's gone in onto, I think it might be Leveler. It's a 3D program to go and add the ruts to it just to visualize things a little bit more. Now, this game is really, really difficult to make rutted tracks on. Reason being is, so that's my tyres like that wide, so to speak, on the screen. Even if you make the rut a tiny bit wider than that, the bike doesn't react well to it. I think it's where the sides of the tyre grab the rut and it just causes the bike to freak out and just make you crash randomly. So it doesn't ride well, which is why you never see like super skinny rutted tracks in this game. The bike will just pop out of them rather than stay implanted, which is probably the game's biggest downfall, I would say, overall. It would be so nice and so satisfying if we were able to make actually deep technical ruts. Because where we have to widen them up so much, that's what makes tracks so fast, because then you can get the bike really cranked over, drag bars in all the corners, and definitely a bit of a killer when it comes to making things difficult in this game. But we're going to see how these ruts go. So as you can see, they're not really deep ruts per se, they're more grooves that you ride in between. Now, JV and Hell Machine, on the Hawkston Park track they released, they had a bunch of like ruts, up jump faces, etc. What ends up happening, because we're all scumbags and we all try and find the fastest way possible around the track, instead of going inside the ruts, we ride on top of the ruts, which means you don't get as much air time for the jump, which means you stay lower, which means you go faster. So actually the ruts end up helping you rather than hindering you. So it's a bit of a tricky situation getting ruts that work in this game. So we'll see if Bradley's done a good job here. And I mean, they don't seem to really be affecting me in terms of making things more difficult right now. Let's see, are we going to have to jump through these whoops? We are. Those whoops are quite peaky as it is, but they're still fairly straightforward to get through. What have we got here? A little step over. Yeah, you might be able to quad that if you get a good enough run. But you can see in the corners, 4 or 5 different lines in each and every corner, which I think could actually help racing and keep people a bit more separated. Because I feel like a lot of the time, there's one super fast rut around the outside to hit a big rhythm intersections, and then if you're not hitting that, you kind of have to force people out of the way or wait for people to make mistakes. My word's not working. You don't really get too many opportunities to make good, solid, clean passes anymore, unless you're like significantly faster than the person in front of you. If you're only like 2-3 tenths a lap faster, you can't really do anything with it. You just kind of have to sit there and wait for mistakes to happen. So I actually would all be for rougher. Oh, I would be all for. What is wrong with me today? Jesus. I would be all for rougher tracks for Supercross. I think the national tracks that we're getting at the moment are a good amount of roughness. I mean, I really struggled in Argentina with some of the roughness there. My bike was just like falling away from me. The front end was folding on me. I did not have a good time around there at all. So I'm hoping for better on Monday. We shall see. But yeah, I'm recording this just before Daytona as well. Now, I'm not sure how rough Stoney's gone on Daytona at all. I mean, depends if he's going for an end of the day feel or very start of the day. Could be quite smooth. I think lap times are going to be like 1.5-ish minute mark. So Daytona will be difficult just because longer lap time, you've got to be perfect for longer for qualifying, so on and so forth. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as rough as this will be. But I mean, so far so good. I mean, I'm only really making mistakes just from not knowing the tracks, if that makes sense. I'm still kind of learning what lines are what, but very, very straightforward. They're not particularly difficult by any means. They had a cool little aesthetic, cool little vibe. I'll be interested to see how they look fully when all of the texturing and the masking is done around here also, because this is just one texture so far, and the definition that you see in the ruts like themselves is just from the in-game lighting. I've even turned reshade off for this because if I turn it on, a little bit too bright, and it obviously doesn't make sense to have reshade this bright when it's a nighttime environment and the track's like glowing. So we've got it a little bit darker. Let's move over to the other track here. I like the ruts in the corners on this one. I do. I think the jump, but the ruts through the rhythms, they don't really affect you at all. I mean, it's not like I've had to suddenly veer one side or the other. They've not kicked me off the face of a jump at all. So I think you could go a little bit deeper on some of them, or even make some of them not 100% straight. Like, I know in real life I've seen ruts form where pros are like scrubbing off the face of a jump, where the rut actually follows the way they're scrubbing, so it turns ever so slightly. I think we could do with a little bit of that as well. And this reminds me of, I can't remember exactly what track it was, but way back in the day on Sim, I think it was Checkers made an entirely like deep rutted, whooped out Supercross track, and obviously Sim's a lot more difficult of a game overall to get around the track on. And that was just near impossible for me, like constantly tipping the front end. If you weren't perfect in a rut, you'd fall over, whereas this is still very, very forgiving. Let's go single out here. Just trying to learn this track again. Now I've not touched... Oh, God, I've not touched this one at all. This is all first impressions. Let's double our way out. And I feel like I will definitely be a minority in this, but I would love to have rougher Supercross tracks. Arlington, let's take Arlington, for example. So Arlington was a difficult track in terms of it being technically track layout wise, but it wasn't a difficult track in terms of the road at all. There was one section that I think messed a few people up when the road came in, which was over the far back left corner of the track, where you go around the outside, you can just go step on off. The rut that went into that step on, you had to be very precise in it, otherwise the front end would tuck if you turned a little bit too tight. That was the only part of the entire track that you really had to think about. The rest of it was still fairly wide open. You just had to time your jumps correctly to get around the track, and you'd be a-okay for the rest of it. So I would love to see tracks deteriorate a bit more. The issue that we have is, as we know, the road system in this game, not the best. It doesn't really do what you want it to. That was nice. That was satisfying, jumping all the way out there. Yeah, it's not the best. So if we can compensate in some sort of way with having pre-made ruts that are a little bit deeper, and I will say I've always wanted ruts on straights in between jumps, because I believe it will stop people scrubbing every jump as hard as possible side to side and cutting people off in races, because there's nothing more frustrating than being cross-jumped by someone who's just trying to hot lap every single lap and scrub their way through the track. It's really annoying. Like, the amount of times I come up behind people and I'm like, I know you. I know what sort of rider you are. You're going to try and scrub the hell out of this and take me out, aren't you? So I check up, and then once you know, someone goes flying across the front on my screen, and I just barely avoid... Oh, don't go off the edge. I just barely avoid being taken out. So yeah, ruts on straights, 100% agree with. I think they could be much... I think they could affect you a lot more than they do on this. They seem quite mellow still. But I feel like people would even complain about this amount. I know people want an easy time sometimes, but I'm speaking purely about the quote-unquote pro tracks that are made for the pro riders on the game, just to challenge them, not just tracks that every random Joe will download and play the game for fun. That's not what I'm talking about here. Then I agree you should have a smoother version, but I'd love love Supercross to be deeper. Really, really would. I think outdoors is getting to a really good place now. I enjoyed the rough around Hawkston. I didn't so much enjoy the rough around Necken, but that could have just been an off week for me. I mean, everyone has bad races. I mean, I had like 2 9th places in a row in Supercross and then 1 at Arlington, you know, so it's definitely highs and lows. So had a decent time at Hawkston, bad time at Necken. Maybe in Thailand I can have a good one. Or am I missing Thailand? No, I'm not missing it. They moved it back a week. They moved the GPs back, so I don't miss a GP round. I just miss a Supercross round, which is hella annoying. So, do you want to know what's annoying about that? I only just realised that after my win at Arlington, I am only 11 points off the top. I mean, you're seeing this after Daytona, so I could be a lot more points down than that now. But to only be 11 points off after getting like two 9ths or whatever, that was like a 9th and 10th or 9th and 8th, something along those lines, I think it's really, really good. So, yeah, very, very annoying. So I'm going to lose out on a hell of a lot, like 20-ish points, depending on how well Tyler does. Obviously, Cam's going to be gone as well for that same week. We're all going to be, well, we're both going to be in Qatar, so is Aiden. So Tyler's getting a very good gift here, a very big gift, very big points gift. Oh, I apologise, that's my WhatsApp popping off. I really enjoy this stuff. I'm very interested to know your guys' thoughts. Another WhatsApp, I'm so sorry. I thought I turned it off. And I think Bradley, well, he'll probably watch this. Hopefully he watches to the end so he can get my full feedback on it. I really like it in the corners. So corners like this, I can go out wide. I can choose 1, 2, I can choose 4 ruts to cut down on in that corner. So if you wanted to try and pass someone, you very well could do just by cutting down a little bit sooner. And then on the straights, I would say a little bit less uniform than they are would be nice. And if there's any way of just making them a tiny bit more narrow, that would also be good, because they are plenty wide right now. There's 0 funkiness happening at all. It's like they're not even affecting me, so to speak. So yeah, I like it. It's a very good base. It's a very good template. And again, interested to know what you guys think. Please do comment down below any thoughts about extra rough stuff, or even if we could go as far as having a groomed version and a really rough version would be nice as well. I mean, if they can put the whole track together, build all of the track layout and the height map, and then save that as one track, and then after that go through and start adding ruts and rough, and then have that as a second one, I think that could be good, and it kind of satisfies both player bases overall. Nice and short and sweet one for me today. If the time you're watching this, I should be live streaming right now for my first donator-thon of 2024. So feel free to stop by and support your boy and enjoy the pain of playing MX bikes along with me. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, all that lovely stuff, and have a lovely rest of the day, wherever you guys are up to. Catch you guys next time. Peace.
I'm working hard, I'm sacrificing my life, I'm sacrificing my mind, I'm sacrificing my sanity, but most importantly, I'm sacrificing my time. Boy, I feel fine, I feel like I am a king. Honestly, I can't complain, even with faith that's the size of a grain of some salt, I will still move a mountain and do what I want. I got salt to be.